Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning, respected chairperson, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor today to present this very significant, poignant keynote address, Building Resilience for Generations and Future Challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic has created human tragedy on a huge scale, with deep consequences for the global economy, drastic social and health crisis. Thus, we have to brace ourselves to face an extended recession and long-term hardships. To address a challenge of such magnitude, we need to collaborate to strengthen our personal life strengths and societies now for future generations. The unique combination of economic distress and personal stresses such as job insecurity, health concerns, loneliness, and isolation experienced pose a substantial risk to resiliency of people in our global world today. How can we build resilience in this new normal and take this challenge? We know that we can grow our brain's capacity to learn and solve problems that address the needs of current and future generations. Ali Shariati is held as one of the most influential intellectuals of the 20th century. He argued that a good society would conform to Islamic values. We need to revive the revolutionary currents of Islam, that is, seeking knowledge by education. Educating in our developing world is the primary step to get at par with the first world countries. The words of Martin Luther King Jr. ring true when he famously lamented as how our scientific and technological advancements have outstripped our human and spiritual advancement. Hence, we have guided missiles and misguided men today. There's an urgent need for education, cultivation, and coaching, in both the present and emerging nations at all levels. We need to pause and ponder about real values. For human survival, we need to revert to these values. Plundering these values is apparent in every aspect of our lives. For example, wastage of food at one level and starvation, famines at the other level. Destruction and climate change are other examples of messing up with the nature and the ecosystems. Today, the global menace of shocking, blatant violence against women and children are a heinous scar on the face of humanity. Zainab and Noor Muqaddam's case in Pakistan, I am sure even the Satan is ashamed of. For us Pakistanis, it is harder as Muslims. The world definitely needs to work on revolution in our educational institutions. Secondly, COVID pandemic has positively reinforced the strength of simple living with basic human and spiritual needs and values. Today, in our materialistic, competitive world, all our strengths and energies are wasted on meaningless, futile efforts. We are forced to realize that core values of our lives have been collectively ignored and almost lost in the pursuit of superficial, useless acquisitions and goals. Building resilience for generations and future challenges. How do we do that? In fact, with the mindset we just have been talking about, let's look at the ways mental health workers can play an equally vital role in building resilience in our future generations. Resilience, is ability to bounce back from adversity, work through challenges, and overcome obstacles. It is also the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, which we call toughness, flexibility, or plasticity. And the goal of resilience is to thrive. Resilient people are aware of situations, their own emotional reactions, and the behavior of those around them. and understand that life is full of challenges. Resilience, ladies and gentlemen, we all know generally is that it's a physical resilience, how much you can cope with the stressors, etc. Mental resilience, how you can deal with it mentally and carry on life in spite of crisis. But the most important ones, which people forget, is a social and emotional resilience. Social resilience is being in touch with others. Socially makes us more social. To be social, we become more socially resilient. For example, in this COVID, the tragedy has been that we have lost touch with the society and we were isolated in our own homes. So we need to make sure that we get in touch in so many other ways, on the phone, on the videos, Zooms, etc., like we are doing it today. Emotionally, we need to be resilient because emotional resilience exercises our capability to imagine, to dream, plan, and create. It also fortifies our soul because if we can dream of other world and the good things we do and the rewards we can get, it makes us more resilient. So, to reiterate and reinforce, we need to educate and provide knowledge to give mental and emotional spiritual strength to carry on our life in an elegant and balanced way. Religions, especially Islam, emphasize on acquiring knowledge to become an ashraful makhluqat, a supreme creation, in fact. It is important not to think of it as some kind of a flaw if one cannot be resilient at all times. In fact, resilience is an ongoing process that requires effort to build and maintain over the time. Change is inevitable part of life, and many aspects of the changing world are outside of individual control. So what do we do in crisis? Number one, don't panic. Simple things. Embrace the power of purpose. Purpose helps to face uncertainty. My father was a soldier, a decorated army officer, and he said, any crisis happens, you first think what to do now. It has happened, what should I do now? So, purpose is very important. McKinsey found that people with a strong sense of purpose tend to be more resilient and show better recovery from negative effects. And in fact, they report people who have this purpose, they report 5 times higher levels of well-being and mental state, good mental state. Now, also, we need to cultivate a growth mindset. Times of crisis or change often brings challenges that require a new approach, a different mindset, and new skills that may be outside your own field of expertise. Would you embrace the challenge or would you think you couldn't cope? Now, in the latter case, think again as you have the ability to train your brain. It's not grades and qualifications that will allow you to rise to the challenge. It is having a growth mindset. Brain is remarkably plastic. When a person practices a task or activity, groups of neurons in the brain fire together to create electrochemical pathways, and it strengthens and connections. It strengthens and the connections between the nerve cells. Carol Dweck found that if a group of students was taught to push out of their comfort zone and learn something new and difficult, they outperformed the others. Neurons in their brains are making new and stronger connections. Also, we need to future-proof ourselves. With the increasing speed of change, unprecedented events, and disruptive forces, it is vital. It is of vital importance to put humans at the center of every organization. Physical and mental well-being are the key drivers for a healthy and successful nation. On a personal level, you also need to take ownership and accountability to build your resilience and become future-proof. Hence, help and guide others who need some support. We are in this together. We are in it for a long time. Quickly go through these adverse childhood experiences and resilience. Because if the childhood experiences are not, traumatic events are not dealt with properly by the adults in the environment, then the people who will grow up to be adults will not be very resilient and strong inherently. The community environment in which our culture, our children and families grow today, they lack equity. It is characterized by concentrated poverty, poor housing conditions, higher risk of violence, victimization, and homelessness. So, what it implies is that the community with little access to supports or buffers uh, will not support resilience. If we realize why we are created and follow the purpose of our creation with honesty, our prayers will be heard and rewarded. So let's teach and rear our children and future generations to face the challenges of changing times globally. Work for humanity, keep your faith strong. Remember, life is just a journey. Thank you very much. Stay safe, be happy, and be good. Thank you.